Without spoiling anything that hasn't already been in the gameplay videos that Valve and IGN have released, let's take a look at what Half-Life ALyx's gameplay will be like, and how it might be different from past Half-Life games. It looks to be a slower paced experience. The action still looks like it can be a frantic affair, but especially in the earlier segments of the game, the combat is going to be slower paced, starting from a very forgiving level. The game is built with VR in mind, and they know that most people won't have much experience with it before, so you'll be given plenty of time to prepare for the challenges ahead. This is best explained in IGN's 13-minute gameplay video with commentary from Valve employees. It's worth checking this video out to get an understanding of all the decisions which go into making a VR game accessible to new players. If we go through the first few encounters in an early chapter, you can see exactly that. The first time you see a zombie, it's behind a locked door, and shooting it open will cause it to walk into a barnacle's tentacle. Even my mum would be okay with this. And they say in the IGN video, at this early stage of the game they want it to be extremely fair to the player. Nothing will jump out, nothing will happen to scare people off. They'll be lowered in gently. Or violently sucked up. The second time you see enemies is with these barnacles here, and their placement ensures you either have to deliberately avoid them, or you get sucked off by them, which should hopefully teach you not to run into them again. They're in plain sight, and are easy to shoot. The third enemy encounter is on the top of this train carriage. These are hidden from view and thus harder to shoot, which should encourage players to use the canisters. This encounter serves more as a tutorial on how to use the gravity gloves to pick items up, and how to chuck them at stuff to gain the advantage and to save ammo. Again, you'll have all the time you need here. The barnacles aren't going to suddenly launch themselves off the ceiling to get you. There is, of course, still risk here. If you run into the barnacle, it will still give you a nasty suck. But hopefully players won't make this mistake more than a few times. Finally, as you jump down into the train carriage here, you now have to contend with a zombie who can't reach you but looks scary, and another who will eventually get you. But this is the beauty of Valve. They talk about how much thought went into this encounter. The zombie can get you, but he's in no rush. I don't know how long you have before he reaches you exactly, because in this demo he keeps shooting at it, which delays its advances. But I reckon that if you don't do this, then you'll have a good 5 seconds before it gets to you. Maybe more, because it is dramatically swaying around like it can't be bothered with stuff. And all the while he'll be making noises to get your attention. As the Valve employee says, he's in a train carriage, heading in a straight line, so it won't be a hard target to hit. They say they've tested this with countless players, so they're in the best position to know if this is a fair challenge this early on in the game. Even at the end of this segment, the headcrabs we see are still taking a lot more time to pounce than they did in older games. Don't worry though, this whole game won't be set to easy mode. Valve reassures us that the horror element is still there, and I can hear the sick delight in his voice as he describes how players fail in VR.
Something, and then that first zombie comes at them, and they may not have been an experienced schemer, they may not have made sure they had many shots in their clip, maybe they had one shot left, they put that shot in, now they need to reload for the first time, well there's a zombie coming at them, and they just go to pieces. One of the fun things about watching VR playtests is when people make mistakes, it's almost always way more entertaining than in non-VR, and so you'll watch people fumble and drop clips, and you can see the footsteps of the zombie approaching them as they're bending down trying to grab that clip again.
So he's kind of looting the room here in a really methodical way.
I like how the IGN guy doesn't know how to respond to that, just changes the conversation. But I know exactly what you mean, Valve guy. And I know you'll leave plenty of chances in this game for it to screw the player over in horrible, horrible ways. Even staples of the game series, like these health machines, come with their own twist. To use them, you need to find a grub somewhere in the level, which is then disgustingly squashed to extract its goo, which is then injected into your hands. This changes the experience in several ways. First, it turns healing into a bit of a mini-game to encourage players to search the area. Second, it's a satisfyingly visceral display of bug popping and needle stabbing into your hands, which I know is going to go down a treat for players who are new to VR. And third, requiring them to keep their hand on this pad will restrict their movement and ability to defend themselves, turning healing into a high-risk, high-tension experience. Also, he lets slip that this is not the only thing that the Combine used the antlions for.
The Combine used the antlions for a number of things, and you're going to see some more of that later in the product.
When it comes to armour, I don't know how it's going to work exactly. ALyx doesn't have the same HEV suit as Gordon does. If I'm honest, I wouldn't even care if we didn't get armour. It only serves as extra hit points anyway. Why not just increase your maximum health to beyond 100 instead? And did you really know how much armour was helping in Half-Life 2, or was it just another stat to maintain? Sorry, rant over. What we have seen so far is the hard hat, which serves an obvious and more immediately rewarding purpose by saving you from barnacle attacks. They'll suck your helmet off, rather than your head. What a useful idea. Maybe all armour in this game will work in similar ways, protecting you from more specific kinds of attacks. Maybe as the game progresses, you'll find increasingly lavish and valuable hats to wear as the game slowly transforms into Team Fortress 3 and the greatest twist the world has ever seen. We see her use a car door as a shield at one point, and a bar found in the level as a weapon. So maybe we won't be getting traditional melee weapons like the crowbar in this game. It'll be more about what you can find around you in the environments. Hopefully there will be a crowbar somewhere. We see a few hacking minigames to unlock things like upgrade stations and doors. Nothing's ever easy, is it? This minigame involves placing an orb so the lines go through all of the red dots at once. It's definitely a puzzle that works better in VR than it would on mouse and keyboard. There's another one in the second gameplay video that shows the colours of all the connections, which then disappear the moment you start playing, and you've got to remember where they all were as you join up the colours again. This one could have been done with a standard mouse and keyboard setup. And there's another puzzle shown in the trailer, which might be like Pipe Mania as you have to complete a connection from one point to another. This time around, the game has an RPG style element to it. There's an in-game currency called RESIN. They look like this and are scattered around the levels. This rewards you for scavenging and exploring. You put this resin, nicely stacked in groups of 5, into these machines, and in return you can unlock weapon upgrades, which I assume you keep for the rest of the game. These combine fabricators know exactly how much resin you have, even when you're not stood at them. You can see it go from 9 to 10 in this sequence here, as Alyx picks another one up in the level. Valve please fix. So let's have a look at the upgrades for the pistol. We can see here that there's a reflex sight, which lets you aim through the sights and it highlights things of importance, like the bits on zombies which will make them explode. A Valve employee revealed in the IGN trailer that they're parasitic bloaters.
Small alien growths on them that we call bloaters, which act as a weak point for them. If you hit those, they'll detonate and you can get them with a single kill, and they'll also kill other enemies around them. So,
if this video is anything to go by, this upgrade won't help with your aim. The bullet reservoir looks like a handy way of storing ammo that you find. It might be what we see attached to the shotgun in this gameplay sequence here, and it looks like something similar is attached to the right hand side of the pistol in this screenshot. Burst fire will fire 3 bullets in quick succession, which I must say I use very seldom in games, but I like the idea of this giving you an excuse to use the lowly pistol later on in the game when you've got lots of spare ammunition. And the laser sight is going to be awesome because it means you won't have to waste time aiming down sights anymore. These are, of course, all for the pistol. I don't know what the shotgun's ones will be, but I expect it will have bullet reservoir, because we've seen it already, and probably some kind of grenade attachment, because we've seen that as well. Half-Life hasn't had upgradable weapons before, but it works out well in the lore because in Half-Life 2, set after this game, you can see that Alyx's pistol is super modded out and kitted with all kinds of fire modes and stuff, so the upgrading in this game does make sense. When it comes to your HUD, it's all displayed on your hands and weapons. You can see your health measured in hearts. The red thing is your flashlight, which I guess you turn on and off by twisting the red thing with your other hand. The blue thing shows the amount of resin you have. You can see your ammo displayed here. Last are these 2 LEDs, which can either be off, glowing green, or glowing red. Maybe it's to show if you're free to move, or whether enemies can see you, or if your teleport feature needs to recharge, or whether your health is increasing or depleting, or maybe something else entirely. I have carefully looked through all the gameplay footage and can't find a pattern yet. I even did a Google search. Nothing. So I'll just admit defeat here and say that I don't know. Your weapon appears to glow red when it's out of ammo, and has a visible ammo count running down the grip. It does this even at the start of the game, so it's probably not something that needs upgrading. To add to this, Alyx can be heard saying how many magazines you have left when you reload.
3 mags left.
3 mags left.
I don't know if anybody else saw this, but the enemy's weapon on the ground here disappears as the player teleports towards it, so I guess this is how you pick up extra ammo. When it comes to items, you can store them in your sleeve. We see in several of the gameplay videos that the player picks up a syringe and places it here, and it remains on show there for the rest of the video for easy access. It seems like you store ammo and resin by placing it over your back. This kind of syringe can be found lying about, or on the bodies of enemies, and according to this bit of gameplay, is used to heal you.
Does it have a skull and crossbones on it?
I don't see one.
Probably medicine then.
You can see it being stabbed into Alyx's hand here during the third gameplay video, even though Alyx already had full health at that point. In fact, she remained at full 3 health bars throughout this video, despite being shot up, so I think they might have been cheating a bit. It's nice to see that the supply crates break so easily. Looks like one brisk motion is enough to do it, which makes them a hell of a lot easier to get into than the ones in Boneworks, which I felt would often interrupt the flow of the gameplay as I either searched for a suitable weapon or just smacked it repeatedly against a wall. We also see 2 different kinds of grenades being used. The first seems like the standard type, while the second is taken from this alien creature and squeezed to activate. Speaking of enemies, we see numerous types. We see barnacles as well as baby ones to show that they don't just appear on ceilings out of nowhere. We see zombies. In Half-Life 2, if you reversed their voice clips, you'd hear them screaming stuff that made it obvious that they still had a bit of humanity left inside.
God, help me!
In this game, we see that they're still hanging about doing human kinds of stuff, like browsing maps or trying to get a machine to operate. Poor things. We see manhacks, which look just as annoying as ever. We see antlions, which now look fabulous. We see other variants of zombies and headcrabs. We see the Striders, which are half machine, half creature, and they go waltzing about the city looking very clumsy indeed. We see a scary electrical monster and his pet headcrab. Combine also come in various shapes and sizes. Some have explodable canisters on their backs. In Half-Life 2 there were 3 tiers of guards. There were the regular civil protection with small arms. There were Overwatch soldiers with SMGs and shotguns, and Combine Elite with advanced weapons and armour. At normal difficulty there wasn't much difference between them, but on hard mode it really did take a lot more bullets to bring these guys down. So I assume we'll see different ranks of Combine in this game as well. This one here looks better armed and armoured than most. If we freeze it here, we can see that there are 4 different difficulty modes, of which normal is the second hardest. Does that mean we'll get a harmless mode? Hopefully this video has given you a better idea of what to expect from the game. Check out this one to see what differences VR makes to the Half-Life experience, and this one to watch me climbing all the way up the Citadel.